Good evening, good evening. Give me 2 seconds, folks, till I sort this camera. I'm trying to organise. I was trying to get the dowser board and the camera. Trying to get the dowser to face the camera to face the dowser board. And it doesn't matter which angle I do it, my reading table is too big, I think. Hello, Rochelle. Hello, hello. Hello, Sierra Tango. I'm just waiting to see if everyone else. Rochelle, could you put a message into the subscriber chat on Facebook and let them know we are live? Let me see if I can get this a little bit higher by putting it onto my warmer. Let me just see if I can click comments. I don't think it's going to go any higher. Tilt my camera a little bit. Nope. See, I have my board on my little stand here, but when you put the board on the table, it's just not high enough to actually work. Let me see if I've got a box or something that I can put this on. Maybe a high box or something. If not, we can just use the dowser without seeing the board. Let me see if I've got a high. Oh, wait a minute. I kind of got a high box, but it might not be high enough. Let's use my mask box and see if it's going to be high enough for the dowser, but we don't want it too high either. Dum dum. No, I don't think that's even high enough. It's going to have to be right, like chin height to me, I think, before it can actually work. So I don't think we're going to get the dowsing board and the dowser on camera, but it's okay. We can I can just put the dowser board on the table and you'll still be able to see the dowser. Let me see if I put it onto this stand. So this is my little obsidian dowsing. So if I'm using this little stand here and I'm holding the dowser, you'll still be able to see the dowser moving. Let me just see if I can turn this a little bit. Yeah. This is what I was trying to set up earlier, but my camera and TikTok camera are set or focused different. There we go. So I can hold it just above the dowsing and you'll still be able to see that. All good, all good. Hello, Diane. Now if anyone wants to be brave and join me on camera, they are more than welcome. Just let me know. I know in the past when I've been doing lives on Facebook, a lot of people say, oh, can I join you on camera rather than typing? I'm just still adjusting this camera. I may adjust my seat so that I can, let me just adjust this chair. My table is it's quite a high reading table. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So it does kind of, you can still see the dowser. Right, we'll put this to the side for now till we get started. Oh, Lucy's half asleep and in her PJs. Well, do you know what? I've got my nice fluffy, I'm not in my PJs, but I've got my nice fluffy house coat on because here in Scotland it is Baltic. I think it's one of the coldest days of the year. But and I love when I'm in the house at night. There's nothing more, even if you've just got your outdoor clothes on or whatever, sitting with a nice fluffy house coat. Oh, hot water bottle too. Hello, Natalie. Ah, you're in Suffolk. I'm in Scotland. And Lucy's in Somerset. So, yeah. So who has done dowsing before? Using either a crystal dowser. Some people actually use a wedding ring on a chain. Some people use crystals. I like my little black obsidian crystal. One is protective. I also wear my piku as well, or paiku. Some call it a paiku, and some call it a piku. It's my little Chinese health and wealth dragon. Ah, you've never. Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely. That's what the subscriber's all about. Let's, befriending everyone. So a lot of people have never done dowsing. Some have not even heard about dowsing. I have been dowsing for years. I love dowsing. Years ago, we didn't have dowsing boards. We just used to use our dominant hand to hold the dowser, and we used to hold the dowser above, just above our hand. So, what is dowsing and how does it work, etc. Dowsing is an ancient divination or divination, whatever you want, however you pronounce it, system for connecting with spirit. And you can dowse with a ring on a chain. You can dowse, some people even dowse with decorators' plumb lines. The whole point is to have something that is weighted on a chain or a cord. I always have this, came with a chain, but I prefer the cord because the cord is natural. So I took the chain off and put the cord on. The cord is lighter than the obsidian, so it is still weighted and it will still move in the direction that I want it to go. Hello, Cecilia. Yep, it's classed as a pendulum. It can be called as pendulum or dowser. There are different types of dowsers. You've got the rod dowsers, which is the iron rods that you get that detect water, but they can also kind of go one way for yes, one way for no. The trouble with the rod dowsers is that they can really just go left or right, or across the way, kind of thing. Pendulums can go various ways. They can go a yes direction, a no direction, and a maybe stroke don't know direction. And that was really, really handy for people who didn't have a board back in the day. I didn't have a board back in the day. Because depending on what direction the pendulum swung, there are a lot of rules to dowsing. Just like any form of divination or any form of connecting to spirit, one, you have to think protection. Always, always think protection. I always light a candle, first and foremost. I always cleanse the room that I'm working in. I always set positive intentions before I start that only good spirit may enter. and bad spirit are banned from entering the dowser board. Dowser boards are very similar to spirit boards, and there's a lot of conflict with spirit boards because of Hollywood movies, and a lot of people will claim, oh, spirit boards, that's dealing with the devil, that's dabbling with the devil. No, it's not. It's like any form of connecting with spirit. If you do not put protection on your boards or on the tools that you are using, and you do not set affirmations, then yeah, you're gonna just basically, it's like opening your front door and says anybody can come in, right? It's like saying, right, I'm having an open house, I'm just gonna open my front door, and it doesn't matter whether you're a mass murderer, it doesn't matter if you're a light worker, it doesn't matter if you're a good, bad person, just come on in anyway, right? Chances are, one, you're going to get murdered, two, you're going to get somebody stealing all your stuff out of your house, right? You just wouldn't do it, would you? You would invite people to your home that you knew and trusted. It's the same with working with spirit. You don't want any Tom, Dick and spirit coming into your home, right? Because some spirits most spirits are light spirits, but you have different ones. You have ones that are in the dark realms. You have poltergeistal spirits, which are entities that are strong enough to use the energies around them to move objects. So the poltergeist would be the ones that send cups flying across the room, or you could be sitting on a chair or whatever and something moves on your fireplace. That's poltergeistal. And then you have dark soul spirits who just come in and just give you nightmares, etc. They're the sort of spirits that come in and give hag attacks or nighttime paralysis. Hello, Carol Murphy, welcome. We're just talking about... Hello, Franny B. Hello, hello, hello. So, it's all a case of protection. How do you protect it? Well, one, candles. Always light a candle. One, candles are going to add light to your method, whether you're reading cards, whether you are pendulum dowsing, whether you are odd dowsing, whether you're using spirit boards or a dowser board. Now, I've had people saying to me, dowser boards are like spirit boards. If they've got yes, no, maybes, all the rest of it is basically a Ouija board with a dowser attached. It's not. Ouija boards and dowser boards are very similar. They still both need the same protector, right? They still need you to protect that board. And there are rules and regulations that work with both with the Ouija boards, or spirit boards as I call them. I hate the word Ouija because it reminds me of those fake Hollywood movies where you see groups of children shouting on demons and whatever else, you know, and daring the demons to come through, etc., right? And of course, everybody tries that because they just see somebody in a movie deciding just to call on Dodo or call on, you know, whoever, whatever Satan's, you know, whatever satanic or dark forces name that they want to call on. You never say, I want Archangel Michael to come in, right? The Hollywood movies are all about the horrors, you know, of using a board. And it's not completely wrong, but what it doesn't tell you is you can avoid dark forces coming into a spirit board. Just like you can avoid dark spirits coming into a card reading, etc. By setting affirmations, by saying, I open my board in love and light. Only good spirits may enter here. Anyone or any spirit that is negative or mischievous is not allowed, is banished from, and spirit, whether they are dark souls or not, have to abide by your commands. We think a lot of the times that spirit actually control us. No, we can demand. Spirit can't go against our free will. So if our will is that we make it quite clear and plain that only good spirits come through when using dowsers or cards or pendulums or rods, they've got to abide by that. There's no ifs, buts or maybes, just like we have rules on earth. They have very strict spirit rules. No, you don't need to do any protection. It's only if you are sort of in the room. Plus, when I set any intention by using the board, I'm controlling the board, right? When you have a dowsing board, even if you're in the same room as the person that owns the board, the person that is leading the board, or the person that the board or the pendulum belongs to, they're the one that's in control of the board, the pendulum, and the protection for the room and everyone in it. So when I set intention for tonight's board and the pendulum, that's for everything. That's for everyone, even if you're watching. You don't have to put protection around you because I'm controlling the board. It would be the same if Diane was had her dowser board and her pendulum and she was leading it, right? We don't have to have protection. But on saying that, if you feel safer having protection while the dowsing is going on, or while I'm doing a question and answer for whoever I'm doing a question and answer for, you can imagine yourself in a light bowl, in a ball of light. It's going to protect you anyway. I always wear black obsidian when doing any spiritual type of work. My black obsidian. I absolutely love my piku. I haven't had him out for a year, and I was upping my spiritual connections recently and coming on and doing a lot more lives every night. And one of the visions was you need to take Piku out. So Baiku or Piku, whatever you want to call him, came out of my dressing table drawer where he has been for about a year. And he was cleansed and he was attuned and he's been with me ever since. And I have to say, it does feel a lot strong. The energy does feel a lot stronger with Piku. No problem, Lucy. This will be shared to the Mystic Witch YouTube channel. And if you're on Facebook, it'll and you're in the Facebook group, it will also be shared in the Facebook group. But the Mystic Witch YouTube channel is on my website anyway. All of the subscriber events and classes will be on the Mystic Witch one. All the open live ones, like my readings, gift readings, they go on the Lady Moonlight one. It's just so that the subscribers know which YouTube channel to go and get the subscribers one. There is a playlist on the Mystic Witch one, which is subscriber events and readings only. Hello, Stephen, and welcome. So let's start with the dowsing boards, right? Dowsing boards, you can use a dowsing board if you choose, or if you're doing your pendulum, you can just use the palm of your hand. Now, the way that the pendulum works, once we've attuned the pendulum, which I'm going to show you how to do that, you would then, if you're using your hand, you would place the pendulum on the palm of your hand just to steady it. Then you would move your hand away a little bit. And then, depending on what happens, I'm just going to move the pendulum myself this time. I would then ask the pendulum to show me the direction for yes. So it might go this way. So I would then know that back and forward, or should I say left and right, for me, is yes. I would then stop the pendulum and say, show me the direction for no. Now, it might go back and forward. So I would know that back and forward is no. I would then stop the pendulum. I would then ask it, show me what don't know or maybe is. And at this point, I would be expecting the pendulum to go round in a circle. It can't go left and right, and it can't go back and forward because it's already chosen those. So then I would know that going round in a circle would be no, don't know or maybe. That was the old way of doing it without a board. So it didn't matter which way the pendulum went. You knew that as long as it was on the table, you could actually, you don't have to use your hand, you could have just hold it above a table without a board. And that's the same thing, and it would go in direction. The key is holding the pendulum as steady as you can. So I would normally put my elbow on the table to steady my hand. I would then use my thumb and my next finger to hold the knot of the pendulum. I would stop it and then steady it. Now the key is you keep your hand and fingers as still as possible, and the pendulum, as you will see, will start to move on its own. I'm not even moving my fingers. It is just moving on its own. Right, and that's spirit moving the pendulum. So what about boards then? What's the difference in using your palm or just on a table and doing the boards? The boards, I love my little witchy board. This is my little witchy board. So I would start my pendulum in the middle of the star, in the middle of the protective pentagram. I love this board because one, it's small enough that you can keep it in a little black bag. I've got a little black pouch for it, fits in a pouch. And two, it means I can carry it around with me. My pendulum is on a cord, which I wear 24/7 anyway. So that pendulum is attuned to my energy because I'm always wearing the pendulum. I'm always cleansing myself and my aura anyway. Both of those are always cleansed. Thank you for the roses. So, on this board, as you can see, because the pendulum moves left and right, back and forward, or round and about, the difference with the board is telling the pendulum where to go. So, as you can see on this one, I don't know if you can see, but on this direction is maybe. Right opposite that direction is maybe. So when the pendulum starts to swing this way, back and forward this way, it's saying maybe. If the pendulum was going this way to this way, that's unknown. I don't know the answer. Can't give you the answer, right? So that would be unknown. Again, if the pendulum started swinging diagonally, that way, the answer would be no because there's a no. And if it swung diagonally that way, it's a yes. That's the difference with the board. The pendulum would just go to what the spirit would push the pendulum to where it needed to go. So that's using a pendulum board. It's a bit like using your glass on a glass or panchet on your spirit board. You would start the panchet in the middle, and you would ask spirit to spell out whatever message it had for you. So, first port of call, light your candle. That is a must. Always light your candle. Cleanse the room. Make sure the pendulum is cleansed, which I have done. And the board, if you're using a board, cleanse the board. If you're using your hand, waft some sage over yourself and your hands so that you are cleansing yourself. I'm using the board tonight, so the board has been cleansed. And I would lay the board on the table in front of me. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the board a little bit higher. I'll put the board on here so that when I'm holding the pendulum's a little bit higher. Let's see if I can do this so that, yeah. So you'll all be able to see the pendulum, whether it's moving or not, with me holding the pendulum above the board. Even though you can't see the board, which is here, you'll still be able to see the pendulum moving, if that makes sense. It's actually, spirit uses energy. So when we're using dowsing and we're asking spirit to come through and help us with the answers, spirit are basic. If you can imagine my hand is spirit hand, spirit will just tap it to where it needs to go. So spirit are basically asking it, yes, it's going to tap it that way. When we stop it and we ask it to show me no, spirit's just basically just giving it a tap. And spirit determines how quickly or slowly the dowser goes. If you attune the dowser and it gives you wrong answers, which I'm going to go into, stop dowsing. Don't continue the dowsing, right? Because chances are the dowser hasn't reset itself or it hasn't attuned itself, or you haven't cleansed it properly. And you would basically cleanse again, do everything again. So you would light your candle, you would cleanse the dowser, you would cleanse the board, you would set your intentions, and then you would attune it. So how do we attune the dowser? We attune the dowser by asking the dowser what direction is yes, what direction is no, and also then what direction is maybe. Then we have to test that the dowser and spirit are attuned to the dowser. And we do that by asking a question that we already know the answer to. So in my case, I might say, okay, is my witchy name Lady Moonlight? Now, if the dowser went in the direction of no, I would stop the dowsing there and then, and I would cleanse it. As a Reiki master, if I was doing that tonight and I needed to cleanse, I didn't need to go out and get all my sage and everything out. I can cleanse it with Reiki energy if I need to. But I trust my equipment and I trust my guides will attune. And because I'm using black obsidian, it's very protective as well. So the first thing I would do is get my board in place, which I have done, and then when I'm ready I can bring the board nearer to where I need it to be. Let me just put that light back up. It's because the cable has just hit my light. There we go. That's a little bit too bright now though. So before we get started, let me show you how to attune your dowser. Yep, spirits do move the pendulum. Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I would do is I would hold my board in my left hand, if it's a small board like this one, if I was using the board. And I would set my intention, and I would say quite loud, may only good spirits enter this space. May only good messages come through. I banish all dark entities. I banish all dark spirits from entering this space. And I ask protection for all present, including myself. And then I would normally say, as I will it, so mote it be. Spirit now have a clear message that only good spirits can come in and control the pendulum. They also know that everyone attending tonight's session is protected. Again, if this was Stephen using his board, Stephen would be the one in control of the session. If it was Diane's board or Janae's board, it would be them that would lead the board. Whether it's a dowsing board or a spirit board, it's the same thing. If I was doing a spirit board, which we will do another night, if I was doing a spirit board, I would be asking the questions. I would be totally responsible for asking the questions and getting the answers. Because if you get too many people saying, oh, go and ask this, go, you know, I'll ask it this, I'll ask it that, as you see in the movies, right? The spirit don't know whose board is it, who's controlling the session, who's leading the session, right? I've set the intention, so the intentions and the responsibility of that board lies with me. It doesn't lie with Stephen, it doesn't lie with Janae or Diane. It lies solely with me. So if you had 2 or 3 people in a session shouting out different questions, Spirit are going to say, well, I don't know whose board it is, so it's a free-for-all, right? And that's when you can invite unknown spirits into your board. So the key to using dowsing boards, spirit boards, is one master only. And that person will open the board and close the board and answer all the questions. No problem. I don't mind questions. No. Thank you for the perfume. Yep, you can use your palm. The key, if you're using your palm, you can use your palm. I can use my palm or the board, so I can hold the palm like this. It all depends on what everybody feels. If I use the board tonight, you're not going to see the board, but you will see the pendulum, because the pendulum's just above the board. Or I could use my palm, because I can put my palm higher, and I can hold the pendulum. Which would everybody prefer? Would you prefer the palm, where you can see both the palm and the pendulum? Or would you like the board? What's everybody's preference? Franny B wants the board. What does everybody else want? Board or palm? Let's do a little vote. Thank you for the roses, Franny. I can do the board or the palm. Michelle wants the board. Oh, the live is still on my side, Stephen. I don't know. It's still live my end. I can still see the comments. All right. Well, what about doing half and half? What if we do, what if we start off with the board? And what I can do, I can have the board and I can have the palm. Because as long as the dowser is attuned to yes, no, maybes, etc., I can use the board or the palm. All right, let's start with the board and we'll take it from there. So before we do the board, I need to make sure that one, I've already cleansed my pendulum. I've already cleansed my board and I've cleansed myself as well. And I've also set the intentions. So now what I need to do is I need to address the dowser. So I'm going to use my palm for this so that I can attune the dowser. So I'm going to place the dowser on my hand just to steady the dowser. And I'm going to use my board here just to steady my, I can place my elbow on my board just to steady my elbow, because normally I would have the elbow on my table if I was using my palm, but I'm going to just rest it on my board here. So I'm keeping the dowser still to begin with, moving my palm down a little bit, and I'm just going to say to the dowser, let me just keep it still. Again, I'm holding, I know it's quite a long cord this. Let me see if I can go down the cord a little bit. I'm going to hold it around about here with the thumb and the finger next to the thumb. So you're holding it like that. So I'm going to steady the dowser. And I'm going to ask the dowser quite loud and quite simple. Please show me the direction for yes. Spirit, please show me the direction for yes. Now be patient with it. It takes a little while for Spirit to move the pendulum. So already the pendulum has started a little swing to the left and the right for yes. Now I'm going to ask Spirit to confirm that. Spirit, please confirm yes. Please confirm yes. Now as you can see, the pendulum is starting to swing a little bit faster to confirm that that is the direction for yes. I can then ask it again, please confirm yes. If you want it more confirmed, just keep repeating the request. Please confirm yes. Please confirm that this is the direction for yes. So we now know that left and right is yes. So I'm going to stop the pendulum. Wow, thank you so much for the swan. So I'm going to stop the pendulum. Now I'm going to ask it, Spirit, please show me the direction for no. Please show me the direction for no. Show me the direction for no. Spirit, please confirm the direction for no. Please confirm that this is the direction for no. Again, please confirm more. Give me more confirmation that this is the direction for no. Please give me more confirmation that this is the direction for no. So, back and forward is the direction for no. It's made a clear decision that I know that left and right is yes. Back and forward is no. I'm going to thank Spirit. Thank you so much for confirming that. I'm also going to stop the pendulum again. And I'm going to ask, Spirit, show me the direction for don't know. Show me the direction for I don't know. What is the direction for I do not know? Show me the direction for I do not know. What is the direction for I do not know? Please confirm the direction for I do not know. Can you confirm more, please? And again, can you confirm more? Now, as you can see, no is a clockwise direction round. So it's going round in circles. So I know that whatever question I ask, if it goes round in circles, Spirit don't know the answer. And I'm going to, again, thank Spirit for letting me know the directions. Now that I've got the directions, I need to make sure that Spirit are being truthful with the directions. So I'm going to ask a question that I already know the answer to. And I'm going to ask the dowser, is Stephen a girl? Let's hope it says no, right? So we've already established that yes is left and right, no is back and forward, and I don't know. And if it says I don't know, Stephen, well. But we're hoping, right, it's going to say yes, right? We already know the answer to whether Stephen is male or female, right? So I'm going to ask the dowser, Spirit, please tell me, is Stephen male? So you only ask it one question. Don't ask it if it's male or female, because that's two questions. So I'm going to say, Spirit, tell me, is Stephen female? Stephen that is in the room with us today, is Stephen female? Please let us know if Stephen is female. Again, can you confirm, is Stephen female? Can I have more confirmation on that, please? Can you give me more confirmation on the question, is Stephen female? Aren't you glad it's saying no, Stephen? Okay, so we've confirmed that Stephen is definitely not female. So now let's ask it, is Stephen female? Is Stephen male? Spirit, is Stephen male? Can you tell me if Stephen is male? Can you confirm your answer as to if Stephen is male? Please confirm. Again, can you confirm some more? Can you give me clarity on this? Is Stephen male? And Stephen's wife is probably jumping for joy because Stephen is definitely male. So already you can see we've asked it 2 individual questions and both questions were obviously correct. Thank you for the bubbles. I know, right? No problem, Diane. You'll be able to catch this on the Mystic Witch YouTube channel. I will be sharing it on there after the live. But thank you for joining us, Diane. I know, right? Just as well it isn't Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So does anyone have questions at this point? Now, obviously, because we're going to be using the board, even though it is attuned to the yes and no and maybes, it's still going to be working on as far as the board goes, because it should still go to yes, no, maybe. Now, unfortunately, because I'm using the board and the board is flat, obviously I can't do dowsing that way, so you can see the answer, but I can put the board, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the board, I was going to put the board on there so that it's higher up, but then that's going to be difficult for me to, or is it? No, it should be alright. I was going to say I was going to use it higher up, but it should be alright because I can still hold the dowser up a little bit above it. So the dowser should go to where I want it to go, or where it wants to go on the board. So again, I'm going to test it out to make sure by asking again a question that I know the answer to. And I'm looking for a yes or a no answer. So if it's a yes, it's going to go across. If it's a no, it's going to go diagonally across as well. So yes, and yes is diagonally that way or that way. Right, so it's diagonal. No would be diagonal that way. Maybe would be back and forward. And unknown would be left and right. So that would be the directions. So I'm going to start, I always start with the if you're using a pentagram, always make sure that the point of the pentagram is facing up the way. Don't have it down the way. Alright? You want to be working with good light. You want to be working with good spirits. So if you're using a pentagram board like this, make sure the point is facing up the way. So if I was holding that towards me, when I'm looking down on the board, that is pointing up the way, and the legs of the pentagram is pointing down the way. If you had it the other way, you are probably working with Hecate. And you're probably working with the darker spirits, right? But we're not working with the dark spirits, we're working with loved ones in spirit, we're working with the light spirits. So it would be, the pentagram would be facing up the way, if you were using a pentagram board. Good night, Stephen, no problem. Yes, please do, Natalie. Good night, Stephen. Please do. Questions are always welcome. Thank you for the likes. What is your question, Natalie? Oh, thank you for the little love star. I call it a love star because it's got a little star and little love heart on there. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for the likes. I'm just holding, now, depending on, that's another thing, depending on what hand you are. If your dominant hand is left, you hold your dowser in the left hand. Your dowser is always got to be on your dominant hand. If your dominant hand is right, you would put the dowser in your right hand. And you would use your left palm, or you would use the board. A lot of people will say always use your left side because your left side is your spiritual side. Whatever feels right for you. I'm always left-handed anyway. They say all witches are left-handed. And back in the burning times with the witches, if somebody was writing with left hand, they were all automatically considered a witch because most people are right-handed. But I've always been left-handed. My partner's left-handed. And he's a male witch, so yeah. Okay. Natalie, do you still have a question before we continue? Oh, did I miss your question? Wait a minute. Let me see if I've, wait a minute. Right. Did you type in your question? Because it's not showing me your question. Right, let me scroll up and see if I can see your question, because it's not showing it. Let me have a look. Yeah, if you retype your question, see if it shows up. That's strange it didn't show up. I got the, if that's too big a question, but it's not showing me what the question actually was. I saw you, can I ask, I can see the can I ask a question, and then is that too long a question, and I'm thinking that I don't see the question in between, if that makes sense. Try retyping it and see if it shows up. Maybe TikTok's having an off time. No, I've just got shall I retype, and has it come through now? Can anyone else see Natalie's question? That is very strange, because I can see shall I retype, which I said yes. Yeah, Janae didn't see it either. Wow. Okay, well next year, yeah, I can see that one. Will next year be a career change for you? Well, we can certainly ask that one. I can see that one, but for some reason we didn't see the other one. How strange is that? Okay, so let's get the board. And we're going to ask, I'm just going to shorten the dowser a little bit. I don't know if everyone can everyone see that dowser? I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Okay. Let me just adjust this board. And I need to know what's what. So back and forward is maybe, left and right is unknown. No is diagonal that way, and yes is diagonal that way. So the question is, right, maybe. Yeah, Spirit won't answer fertility questions about pregnancy, etc., etc. It's just one of the no-nos. And if you ever go to a reader that gives you a fertility yes or a no question, they're probably not a correct spiritualism, because but or medium, because I know just through my own experience that Spirit will just not answer me if I ask a fertility or pregnancy question. So that's probably why. Okay, so we're going to ask if next year will be a career change for Natalie. I think it's because fertility is such a delicate subject for females, and you know, if somebody was, I guess, desperate to have a child, and they were to ask Spirit, and Spirit were to say, for example, no, that's going to cause upset, right, to the woman who's obviously desperate to have that child. So Spirit are clearly just not going to get involved in that line of questioning, because they don't want to kind of be in that position. Does that make sense? Where they may have to say no instead of saying yes, because they can't lie to us either. They've got to be truthful with us. So I think it's just an unwritten rule with Spirit that they will not answer me if I ask fertility questions, and technically they shouldn't answer any medium that asks for fertility questions. You can use a dowser if you know for a fact that you are expecting, and as soon as you see your baby bump appear, you can actually hold the dowser above your bump and ask if it's a girl or a boy. So you could ask the dowser, show me the position for girl, show me the direction for boy. Once you've established that, then you can ask the dowser or the pendulum, I always call them a dowser, or the pendulum, is it going to be a girl or is it going to be a boy? But that's the only exception, because obviously Spirit know that you're expecting, so they can give a diagnosis as to whether it's a girl or whether it's a boy. But they can't tell us if we are or we are not expecting. Okay, fantastic. Okay. So that's probably why it was blocked. I don't know. Although Spirit, I wouldn't think Spirit would block the comment, but maybe TikTok has. Who knows? TikTok is weird. Okay, so let's go with Natalie's question as to whether Natalie will have a career change next year. So let me just I'm going to wind the cord around my finger a little bit, but still hold with the clasp, just because I'm shortening the dowser so that I can have my elbows on the table. Okay, so Spirit, please tell us if Natalie will have a career change in 2023. Will Natalie have a career change in 2023? Again, because it's a board rather than my palm, I'm just being patient and allowing the dowser to find its way. Okay, I'm getting repeat the question in my head. So I'm going to repeat the question. This question is for Natalie, Spirit. Will Natalie have a career change in the year 2023? Will Natalie that is with us in the room, will she have a career change in 2023? This year is 2022, so will Natalie have a career change in 2023? It's taking its time, so I'm just allowing Spirit just to familiarize itself with the board. Will Natalie have a career change in 2023? Can you please confirm your answer? Again, please confirm. Can you give me more clarity on this, please? Give me more clarity as to whether Natalie is going to have a career change in 2023. Can you give me more clarity, please? And again, a little bit more clarity, please. Always be polite with your Spirit. Always say please, thank you. Okay. Now, the pendulum is going to a very clear unknown. So at this time, Spirit cannot see that far ahead as to whether there's going to be a career change. So it's an unknown. Now I'm just going to make sure that it's attuned to the board, and I'm going to ask Spirit if Natalie is a female. Alright, just to make sure, because we are tuned with our palm, so I want to make sure that the unknown is a correct answer by asking a question that we already know. So, again, I'm going to stop the pendulum in the middle. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me that answer. My next question, can you tell me whether Natalie is female? Is Natalie female? Natalie that is in the room with us. Is Natalie female? Natalie Gott that is in the room with us. Is Natalie female? This is one part of dowsing that a lot of people don't get, is they want Spirit to answer in a hurry and they don't. Spirit take their time. So just be patient. Plus you've got to realise too, it takes them a lot of energy to move the pendulum. Okay, we've got a little bit of movement. Can you give me a confirmation as to whether Natalie that is in the room with us is female? Please confirm. Give me clarity, please. Please give me clarity on your answer. Again, please give me more clarity, so that Natalie and the rest of the people in here can see very clearly your reply. Okay, I'm getting diagonally yes. So we know that Natalie is definitely a female. So it is attuned to the board, I'm glad to say. I'm kind of glad it went to female and not a no. So I'm really glad that it's attuned to the board. But you can see already how accurate the pendulum is. Now, does anyone else have a question for the pendulum? It might help if you reword the question. Yeah, it might. Again, it doesn't do any harm to reword the question, because if Spirit don't want to tell you, they will tell you don't know or unknown. Okay. Michelle is asking, will she be with Jerick? Okay, let's do Michelle's question. So again, I'm just going to steady my pendulum. Spirit, this question, the next question is from Michelle, who is in the room with us. Will Michelle be in a relationship with Jerick? Will Michelle be in a relationship with Jerick? Again, we're just going to let it take its time to decipher what the answer is going to be. Spirit, this one is for Michelle, who is in the room with us. Will Michelle be with Jerick? Will Michelle be with Derek? Okay, even though the dowser's not moving, Spirit are still able to communicate with me through thought, etc. Spirit are asking, can you give a time scale that you would like to know that question? For example, will you be with Derek this year? Will you be with Derek by January? Will you be with Derek? What's your time scale? Spirit are asking, what's your time scale? So Spirit know the question that you're asking, i.e. will you be with Derek? But what it needs more clarity for the question, i.e. for example, will I be with Derek by Christmas? Will I be with Derek by January 2023? Okay, January, thank you. Okay, Spirit. Again for Michelle, she has answered. Will Michelle, I'm going to put this a little bit shorter, it's asking me to go shorter. Okay, let's go shorter. Okay. Will Michelle be with Derek by January 2023? Michelle that is in the room, will she be with Derek by 2023? Which is 1 month away. Spirit, we are in December on Earth years. December 22. Will Michelle be with Derek by January 2023? Spirit, can you please confirm your answer for us? Please give me confirmation. Thank you for giving me confirmation. Can you give me clarity so that all in the room can see your answer? Please, can you give us all clarity on this answer? Will Michelle be with Derek by January 2023? Okay, Spirit are letting you know that at this time, the answer is unknown, which could mean they can't see whether you and Derek are going to be in a relationship by January. It may be too soon for them, I don't know. But the answer is unknown. Okay, does anyone else have a question? Okay, so Janae's asking if your guides and angels are trying to give you messages through your dreams. Okay, Janae, let's ask Spirit that. Spirit, This question is for Janae, who is in the room with us. Could you please connect to Janae's spirit guides and angels? Not my spirit guides. Please connect with Janae's spirit guides and angels. In order to ask Janae's spirit guides and angels, please, are they trying to connect with Janae through her dreams? Are they trying to send messages through Janae's dreams? Janae that is in the room would like to know whether her guides and angels are sending messages to her through her dreams. Please connect with Janae's angels and guides in order to ask them if they are sending Janae messages through her dreams. Janae needs to know whether her guides are sending her messages through her dreams. Guides or angels. Either or. Again, this one is for Janae's angels and guides. Are messages being sent from them to Janae through her dreams? Janae needs to know whether the messages in her dreams are from her guides or angels. Please confirm your answer for all to see here tonight. Please confirm your answer. The messages in Janae's dreams, are they from guides or angels? Okay. To that question, Janae, it's a clear no, but I'm going to rephrase that question for you, and I'm going to ask if it's from loved ones. Because sometimes if you're getting vivid dreams and you're wondering if it's messages from our guides or angels, it may well say no, but if we ask if it's from loved ones in spirit, then it may say yes. So I'm going to rephrase that. Thank you for the last question, Spirit. Again, this question is for Janae. Can you please let me know, and Janae know, the dreams that she's getting, are they messages from loved ones in spirit? From her relatives in spirit? The messages that she is receiving in dreams, her dreams, are they messages from loved ones in spirit? This question is for Janae, who is in the room with us. Janae has been having dreams. Are these dreams messages from her relatives? in spirit. The dreams that Janae has been having, are they from relatives or friends in spirit? Relatives or friends, I'm going to put. Can you please confirm your answer? Please give us clarity on your reply. Again, just allow Spirit to have the time it needs to give us that answer. Again, can you please confirm? It is quite slow to answer this one, but I'm going to be patient with them. They're asking me to be patient. Spirit, could you ask Janae's relatives in spirit, are they trying to send her messages through dreams? Please ask Janae's relatives, not mine, Janae's relatives. Are there messages from Janae's relatives being sent through her dreams? Can you please confirm this? And can you give me clarity on this? Okay, so what I'm picking up with the dowser is that, let me move this a little bit, that the messages that you are getting, or your dreams, the messages at the minute from your dreams are from loved ones in spirit, not necessarily from your angels and guides. They are definitely from relatives in spirit. So rather than the guardian angels or spirit guides, your dreams are from loved ones in spirit. So one of your relatives is trying to send you messages through your dreams. Isn't it just? And this is the beauty of dowsing. If you notice throughout the whole dowsing, I have been polite with spirit. Every time they answer, I give them a thank you. If I ask a question, I always ask please. If I ask them to confirm, I always end it with a please. You'll get a lot more from your dowser or your pendulum if you have please and thank yous. Because you are showing them respect, and in return they're going to respect you as well. A lot of people get into trouble with boards like this, or spirit boards, because they're not asking with respect. You know, they'll say, you know, bring a demon through, or they'll be quite rude to spirit. I've seen a lot of people using boards on, I've watched a few YouTube seances with young ones that are using boards and dowsers, etc. And they are anything but polite. I actually had somebody calling a spirit really nasty names, etc. on YouTube. And then they wondered why things started flying about the room. Candles blowing themselves out. Well, you know what? Spirit have the right to get angry if you are abusing them. Right? They're not here to be abused. They're here to be respected. They're here to help us, not to hinder us. So it makes, and this is what gives spirit boards and dowsing boards their bad name, because it's not the board that is demonic. It is not the dowser or the pendulum that is demonic. It is the user that is using the tools and the board that is disrespectful. Or another reason could be that they didn't open the board with love and light. They didn't set intentions. And they just basically want any Tom, Dick and Harry to come through. And then they wonder why everything goes wrong. And then, of course, they go around saying, this is where the spirit boards and dowsing boards get really bad names. Because people will say, oh, don't use the dowsing boards because, or the spirit boards, because they are the devil's work. They are, there's house fires, there's this, that, and the next thing. Well, of course there is, because one, they didn't open the board properly. They didn't set intentions. Again, it's like opening your front door and just say it's a free-for-all. So you're going to get good, bad, and the ugly. And then they wonder why things go wrong. I've been doing dowsing boards and spirit boards for many, many years. And I have to say, one, I knew how to close and open the boards for a start. If I didn't, I would not touch any board. And that's what I would advise anybody. If you do not know how to open a board and close a board safely, then do not use the board. You wouldn't jump in a car and drive a car on busy roads if you had never had a single lesson. Right? It's suicidal. So if you hadn't learned the highway code and you hadn't learned to use your mirrors or to observation or whatever else, and you just got in a car and you drove, you're going to either kill yourself or you're going to kill somebody else on the road, right? Because you are working a machine that you do not know how to control, right? It's the same with, somebody going into a forklift truck and they haven't got the stupidest idea on how to operate that truck. Right? Chances are they're going to knock a wall down. Or even worse. You just wouldn't do it. Well, why would you operate a spirit board or a dowsing board if you don't know how to open the board and close it safely? Okay. Does anyone else have another question? Either for the board or for myself. Everybody will be thinking about questions to ask the dowser now. Alright, is it just you and Rochelle that's here? Maybe everybody else has left. So does anyone else want any questions about using the dowser or the board, or using dowser, using your palm, reading your palm? Does anyone have any questions? Michelle, do you have any questions then? I love using dowsers, I love using spirit boards. Is everybody enjoying the classes and the Wednesday events? Yeah. Cleanse the first port of call. If you're taking notes, folks. Again, all of this will be on the Mystic Witch YouTube channel and our subscriber page. First port of call is cleanse your room. Right. Take some Californian white sage. Make sure that you cleanse the whole room with the smoke from the sage. Also, make sure you're cleansing yourself. So I would take I've got an abalone shell that I use, and I put the sage in the abalone shell, and I would waft the smoke over my head, over my shoulders, onto both my hands, onto my pendulum. If I'm using the board, I will smudge the board as well, right down to my feet. So everything is cleansed before I even start anything. I would then light the candle. I would then set my intentions. So if I was using the board, I would say only good spirits may enter this board. All negative or bad spirits are not welcome here. You're setting the attention, you're opening the board and making your rules, your guidelines. You're setting boundaries for your home. And you are banishing anything dark, any dark spirits, any poltergeist, that kind of thing. You don't want them in your home, right? So you make that crystal clear. That, and even when you're doing palm readings with the dowser, again, you make them quite clear. While I am dowsing using my hand or using the dowser on a table top, I only request good spirits to attend this session. And I repel or I refuse entry to any dark spirit. Make your intention crystal clear. If you don't do that right at the beginning, you're basically opening the door to dark souls and light souls. You do not want to be doing that. Yep. Yep, definitely. Yep. This is why I always use my selenite. I always have, not selenite, obsidian. I always have black obsidian. All our rooms have got selenite in it, which repels negative energies anyway. But I love black obsidian. I've got pendulums that I've got a rose quartz pendulum, I've got a amethyst pendulum. What else have I got? I've got another one. And I've got an orange crystal pendulum. I can't remember the name of the crystal, tanzanite I think it is. And then of course I've got the black obsidian. So depending on what you're looking for your board, if you are looking for answers, for example, regarding health, use an amethyst pendulum. If you are looking for answers to problems or just general protection while you're using the boards, again, use black obsidian or black tourmaline. I prefer black obsidian. It's a more expensive stone, but it does the job. But so does black tourmaline or black onyx. Black onyx is the other one. Black repels negative energies and is very protective. So black onyx, black obsidian, or black onyx, black onyx, black obsidian, or black tourmaline. Yeah, it cleanses, yeah. Psychic attacks, amethyst is more for healing, right? Amethyst will give you healing more than protection. So if you've been under the weather, if your health hasn't been great, amethyst. If you are emotionally, if you're emotional or you've been through abuse or you're just out of abuse or whatever and you need a little bit of healing, soul healing, amethyst is always for healing. If you're looking for protection for nightmare protections, right, night attacks, etc., don't rely on amethyst to totally give you that protection. The properties in amethyst will not give you hag attack or nighttime terrors or nighttime attack protection. If you're looking for nighttime attack protection, definitely go, if you can, go with black obsidian. Always go with black obsidian or black tourmaline, or if you haven't got black obsidian or black tourmaline, always go with black onyx. Hello, DP. Hello, Retta, and welcome. We're just talking about dowsing. We've had a few questions with the dowser. This will be shared on the Mystic Witch YouTube page. You'll find the link on my website if you're on TikTok, or if you're on my VIP subscriber group on Facebook. It's going to be shared on there anyway, so anything that you've missed earlier on, because we've been discussing quite a lot, so anything that you've missed, you can get that when I post it to YouTube, which is the Mystic Witch YouTube channel, and also the VIP Facebook group as well. The links are on my website. Yeah, so all the private subscriber videos will be on the Facebook VIP subscriber group or on the Mystic Witch YouTube channel. If you go to my bio on here, I've got a website link. Click on that link, scroll left to the second page on my website, and all of my social media links are there. and you're looking for the Mystic Witch one for subscriber only lives, you'll find all these lives and the Sunday classes, which is again subscriber only. You'll find them all on there. But we're just asking questions about dowsing. And if anyone wants a yes, no, or maybe question answered, please feel free to ask. Because we have cleansed the dowser, we have got the dowser answering yes and no questions. Oh, that's strange. Retta, you're in my VIP group though, aren't you? So you'll get it on the VIP group. Although I don't know why it's not allowing YouTube. Maybe try YouTube through my website rather than from the subscriber page, because the website has a direct link to my YouTube channel, so try it that way. You're more than welcome. Now I'm going to ask the board a question. I know Lucy was with us earlier on, and I know that she's away just now because she was tired. But Lucy wanted to know earlier on whether she should accept a temporary position with her new job. She applied for a new job, and she wants to know whether she's been offered a position, a part-time position, and she wants to know whether she should take that up. So I'm gonna, even though Lucy's not with us, I know she won't mind us asking, so I'm gonna set the dowser on the board. Now for those that have just joined, on the board, although you can't see the board, this is my little dowser board. It has yes, no, unknown, and it also has maybe. Alright, I use the pentagram one, and because I'm a light worker, I always make sure that the point of the pentagram is facing up when I'm looking at the pentagram, not down. So this direction is light worker, because the point of the pentagram is facing up the way, and the feet of the pentagram is facing down. If I was working with the dark side, or I was working with, say, Hecate, etc., I would turn the pentagram this way so that the feet were at the top and the point was at the bottom. This is also known as the goat, because you've got the goat ears, the goat horns, and the goat nose. That's why they call it the goat. The goat is people that work a lot with Hecate. It's not the sign of the devil, as some people would think it is, but it's the goat represents Hecate, queen of the underworld, right? Or the dark queen. Doesn't necessarily mean devil. Devil or Satan was a fictional character that was made up by Christians when Christianity was first brought into the world to control the masses. It was basically follow our way or burn in the fires of hell. You know, if you're not following the Christian path and you're not living a good life or whatever else, then you're working with Satan. There is no such a deity, or there is no such an idol as Satan. Satan, or the devil, is a term that the Christian church made up so that they would instill fear into their congregation by saying, you know, you've got to do everything our way, and if you go against our commandments, our rules, then you are following the devil. Pagans such as myself, we do not recognize Satan, we do not recognize the devil. We just recognize good and bad. Simple. Yeah. Yeah. And you know that a lot of people, you know, when they see the pentagram like this, and sometimes people, it doesn't matter whether you've got the pentagram up the way or down. Christians will say both ways are the devil. Oh, she's wearing a pentagram. She's working with the devil. Right? Now, let me tell you, I work with Isis, but I also work with Hecate. Right? Because Hecate is not devilish. She's not the devil, she's not Satan. We don't recognize Satan. We recognize the keepers of good and the keepers of bad souls, right? Just like on earth we have good souls and we have bad souls, right? Same in spirit, right? Take away our human body, what's left? Souls. So if your soul is good, you're going to go to the good realms. If your soul is bad, you're going to go to the bad realms. Right? You're going to go to the dark realms. I call them the dark realms. I've seen both, and I prefer the light realms. But then I work more predominantly with light. But where yin and yang come in, we should actually be working a little bit of both. Because if somebody is bullying you, or somebody is coming at you with evil, or with bad intention, right? You need somebody, you need the gatekeeper of the dark realms to fight your corner, right? The one that puts them in their place, right? And that's, in the pagan tradition, that is Hecate. So if I was wanting to work with my board and I wanted to call in Hecate, I would work with the goat, i.e. upside down, right? Hecate is the goat. When we are working with spirit or either, the seven sisters, which is Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter and Kali. When we are working with those seven sisters, we always make the sign of the goat. Alright, so we always praise those goddesses with the sign of the goat. It's a respect. Doesn't mean Satan whatsoever. It's respect for good and evil. Right? It's if I was being attacked by dark forces, first port of call would be Hecate. Every single time. Right? Because Hecate is the queen of the underworld. She is the queen of the dark realms. But if I was, wanting to send healing or wanting to do good intentions for somebody or help somebody through healing, etc., I would always go with a light deity such as Isis. Or I might even have Diana. So I might call on Diana, I might call on Astarte. I might even call on Demeter. I certainly wouldn't call on Kali, because Kali I would only call on if I was severely going to war with, or somebody was going to war with me. Kali is the goddess of battles and wars, and if you want somebody on your side for things like that, then Kali. But yeah, a lot of Christians will tell you, you know, I always wear, this is my pentagram. My partner also wears a pentagram. I wear my pentagram with the point always up the way, because I'm a light worker, I'm a starseed. But I do have pentagrams that have the goat as well. But either way, if you're a light worker or a starseed, both ways work. It all depends on the situation. And it all depends on what goddess or what god that you are wanting assistance from. Yep, Hecate or Isis. Definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing. Now you can see why the Christian churches will tell their congregation, stay clear of the pentagram. Stay clear of the pentagram because it's the devil's work. It's not the devil's work. It's because of the church's teachings that you either follow the Bible and the Ten Commandments and do as they say, or you're working with the devil, you're working with Satan, right? But when you look at the symbolisms in Christianity, and you look at the symbolisms in paganism, before Christianity was even heard of, whether it's Roman Catholic, whether it's Church of Scotland, whether it's Episcopal Church, whether it's Jewish or whatever, before any of that was even heard of, paganism came first. Our Ostara, which is our spring equinox, beginning of spring, new life, fertility, is always represented by the hare. Not the rabbit, the hare. Christians, what do they have at Easter time? The Easter bunny. Where did the Easter bunny originally come from? They stole it from the hare. They couldn't call it the hare because that's a pagan symbol, right? So they had to call it something else. Same thing, right? Hare's got longer rabbits in an ear, but longer ears than a rabbit has. But however, rabbits still have long ears. So they got away with calling Easter the Easter bunny. Whereas they call it Easter, we call it Ostara. Same as Christmas, Christ Mass, right? It's Christ Mass, the birth of Jesus, and it's always celebrated on the 25th of December. Pagans, again, our Christmas is Yule, and Yule is celebrated on the 21st into the 22nd of December. And Yule represents the return of the sun, or the return of the god. The gods are always represented by sun, and the goddesses are always represented by the moon. So winter is the time when the sun is sleeping and the goddess takes over. But then the goddess gives birth to the sun on Yule, and the sun returns. And if you think of motherhood, etc., right? We don't give birth to adults, right? We give birth to children, and children take time to grow up into adults. It's the same with Yuletide. right? When we give birth to the sun, we welcome the sun back. And it's going to take time for the sun to make the days longer. 21st of June is our summer solstice, the longest night. The sun has fully risen to as high as he can get. And from the summer solstice onwards, the nights start to get darker. Nicholas. Which necklace, Janae? The pentagram one. So you've learned a little bit about paganism and what the pentagram, and yeah, you know, this is a protective symbol, right? But we spoke about black obsidian, black tourmaline, and black onyx being protective crystals, right? Pagans, you will always see pagans wearing a pentagram. Whether it's up the way or upside down, doesn't matter. It's a protection, right? The 5 points of the pentagram. Spirit is the top one, right? Because we all have a spirit, right? So we work, you know, our spirit is protected within the hoop of the pentagram, right? Life is circular, right? We die, we are born, we live, we die, and we are reborn. And life is the circle of life, right? In that circle of life, there is you, spirit, right? Whether you're on the earth or whether you're in spirit realm, you are spirit. So the top point of the pentagram represents spirit. Then you've got earth, air, fire, and water. The 4 elements of life, all wrapped up in the circle of life, which makes this symbol very, very protective. So it protects you from dark forces, it protects you from evil. So rather than being satanic, you can now see why it is very protective. So every time you see somebody that is wearing a pentagram, whether it's that way or whether it's that way, it doesn't really matter. It's still a protective against evil. It's protective against bad. All right, the triquetra Celtic star necklace. Right, is that the one that's kind of got the 6 points rather than the 5 points? Whereas the, I don't know if I've got a pen. Let me see. Are you talking about, where's my little book? Let me just draw it. Are you talking as this one, this symbol, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I'm not very great at drawing. let me just draw that again, because that one was a rubbish design of that one. Right, let me see. This one. This symbol here, is that the one you were talking about? Because you've got the, this one is often known as the Star of David, whereas the pentagram is the 5 star, the 5 point. So pentagram is the, so pentagram has got 5. The Star of David has also got the 6. Right, so it's not that one. Ah, right, are you talking about the, it's like the Celtic cross one? Celtic cross, what the one that you're talking about, the Celtic one, is very similar. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for the as a pentagram. It's a protection. The Celts, i.e. Celtic, right, is Irish Scots, right, which is where the Celtic form comes. Celtic is also connected to the Romani gypsies as well, which again, Celtic is part of paganism rather than Christianity. And they have, yeah, they have the Celtic one, the Celtic star as it was, rather than the pentagram. But both are very similar. They both represent protection. You also have this one. This symbol, let me just show you this one. I didn't draw that one very well either. Right, let me see. You may have seen this symbol as well, this one here, where it looks like a cross, but it's got the hoop at the top. Again, it looks Christian, but it's actually, a lot of Wiccans use this symbol because they follow the Wiccan creed, which is similar to a Christian's 10 Commandments. So you'll see a lot of Wiccans and sometimes witches use this symbol. But yeah, Celtic traditions are very linked to witchcraft as well. So does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask? We kind of went off dowsing a little bit and went on to protection, but do you know what? Dowsing's all part of protection as well. I always wear my pentagram anyway, but for double protection, I always wear black obsidian. And I have recently been called to wear the paiku, or the Pikshu, whatever you want to call him. So any more questions or any more questions for the dowser or myself, whichever you want. This is what I love. I love, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I hate asking too many questions. No, you can never ask too many questions. If you don't ask, you'll never learn. Knowledge is life. But yeah, if it's Celtic, if it's the cross with the hoop on the top, again, that's pagan. So the cross with the hoop, the Star of David, which is the 6 point, that's more Christian. But if it's Celtic, if it's pagan, it's all connected to the pagan or the non-Christian side of your beliefs. So a lot of Celtic, you get Celtic witches, Celtic gypsies. My great-grandmother was an Irish Celtic witch. She was a gypsy witch, but she was still a witch. She still followed the pagan path. If that makes sense. Yay, I love that little character. How cute is that? I love the hedgehog. That's the first time I've had a hedgehog. I love the hedgehog. I'm going to ask before I forget, because I was going to do that earlier, I'm going to ask the dowser for Lucy whether she should accept the position that's just been offered to her for a new job. So let's ask the dowser. So I'm going to get the dowser. I've had it in my left hand all the time, so it is still charged. So I'm going to ask Spirit, because we haven't closed the board yet. Spirit, I'm asking on behalf of Lucy Yates, who is not in the room, but she is our sister. So this question is on behalf of Lucy Yates. Lucy has been recently offered a part-time position. Should Lucy take this part-time position? Lucy Yates, should she accept the part-time position? This question is for Lucy Yates, who is not in the room with us, but I did promise her I would ask Spirit. Should Lucy take this part-time position that she has just been offered? Lucy Yates from Somerset, should she take the part-time position that has been offered to her? Again, it's taking its time. I'm going to give it a little bit more slack because I feel it's too short. I'm being told it's too short, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more slack. Okay, that's better. It's able to swing a little bit better. Lucy Yates, should she accept her position? Her new position? Should she accept it? Can you please confirm this for Lucy? Should she accept it? Okay. That is a very clear and precise yes. Oh wow, you'll have to send me a photo of it. I had one like, I know that I do know the symbol you're talking about. I have one that I keep in my jewellery box. The minute you said Trinity knot with the crescent moon, I knew exactly what you are talking about, because I have the same one. I wore it years ago when I was doing a lot of work with Isis. I was more working with Isis at that time than I was Hecate. So I wore that particular protection symbol. But now I wear the pentagram all the time. So I do know the symbol that you're talking about. The minute you said crescent moon with the Celtic knot, yes, I know the one that you're talking about. Don't ask me to draw it though, because that's a complicated one to draw. But I do know the one that you're talking about. So does anyone else have any questions about pendulum dowsing, opening the board, closing the board? I'm going to touch briefly on closing the board now that it's came to my mind. So say you've done all your dowsing and you don't have any more questions. I'm not going to close the board just in case we do have any last minute questions, but I'm just going to talk about closing the board because that's just as important as opening the board. So once you've finished your dowsing, especially if you're using the board, the first thing you need to do is you need to thank Spirit for answering your questions for the board. So I would normally say, I'm closing this session now with love and light, and I thank my spirit guides or angels or whoever answered the questions for giving me the answers that I asked for, and I close the board in love and light till next time. I would then make sure that if it was a dowsing board, the dowsing board gets put away in a black cloth or a black pouch. I have a black pouch for mine, so it goes into a black pouch. And nobody else should touch your board without your permission. It's the same with crystals. Nobody should touch your crystals without your permission. So once you've finished, the board must be put into a pouch. The dowser must be kept separate from the board. So the board and the dowser should never be stored in a pouch together. Can anyone guess as to why the dowser, or even if the dowser and the board should never even be left on the table like that? Can anyone say why we should not leave the board and the dowser on the board unattended? Anyone take a guess? It's the same with spirit boards. Have the little tranquette with the pancette with the hole in the middle. Same principle. You should never leave the pancette on the board for the same reason. Can anyone guess what that reason is? Yep, it's a portal for entities, right? While you are in control of your board and your pendulum, or your spirit board and your pancetta, you control who comes in and out of that board. You can open that board and you can close it. And when you close it, the board goes into one pouch. Your pendulum or your pancetta must go somewhere else, completely away from the board. Right? Even if the board, you bought the board, I mean, this board and pendulum came together and they were together, that's absolutely fine. because it was sealed in its wrapper, etc. But the minute that I took this out and used it, this board went into the pouch, the black pouch that it came with. My pendulum, I always wear on me. So the pendulum is always with me. The board is always in the pouch. And the reason being, it gives a clear indication to Spirit. I'm in control of my pendulum, and I'm also in control of the board. The board is away. The Spirit cannot control a board without the pendulum or the pancetta. So if, for example, I left my pendulum lying on the table flat with the pendulum on the board, and I went away, right? Crystal pendulum or the pancetta is sitting right in the middle of the board. The middle of the board is where the board is opened and closed. We always start at the middle to open it, and we close the board ending at the middle. So you're leaving your tool like this on the table, right? And you're going out of the room. Portal's left open. Even though you've closed that, even though you make an intention and say, my board is closed, I'm done, and I'm going to make a cup of coffee, or I'm going to just go to my bed overnight or whatever, right? Spirits see an open door. Then they're going to lift your, dark deities are going to lift your pendulum. And they're going to use that pendulum to open the portal. And they're going to allow everyone and anyone in. So while you're sleeping, you've got unwanted guests where you left your board. It's the same with spirit boards. Leave your pancetta. We will be doing a lesson in the spiritual development class about spirit boards and these boards, but it's the same principle. Leave your pancetta on your spirit board and go away. Spirit are going to move the pancetta to open the door. Spirit boards have usually got hello and goodbye, right? And their pancetta always starts in the middle of the board. And when I'm opening a spirit board, I will always say, I welcome in good spirits. Please let me know if there are any spirits here by saying hello. So I'm commanding them to say hello. So they'll take the pancetta and they'll take it to hello and slide across the hello and then go back. Then I will take the pancetta and put it back to the middle for the next question. Right? When I'm finished with the board, I would then take the pancetta and I would say, I would hold the pancetta lightly and I say, thank you for giving me the answers that I needed today. I am closing this board in love and light. Please say goodbye. Now, if spirit do not, at this point, take your pancetta and slide it across goodbye, you take control of that board. And you slide the pancetta to goodbye and you clearly come across the goodbye and off the board with the pancetta. Right? Because spirit are clearly not wanting to shut that porthole. But this is this is where you have to take control of your spirit board then. So then you would slide it to goodbye and you would take the pancetta off. You would put the board in one pouch and the pancetta would be stored somewhere else. I always keep my spirit boards on the shelf behind me, and my pancettas are in the other room. They are in two separate rooms. But if I was to leave the pancetta in the middle of the board, spirit board, spirit can come along, take that pancetta and slide it to hello. That opens the board. Right? And they're going to come in and they're going to have a party while you're in bed sleeping. That's the last thing you want to do. And this is where a lot of people that you see on YouTube say, oh, don't use the spirit board. it brings entities in, it brings dark spirits. They've probably done the board, left it on the table with a pan chair and just went and done something else, not thinking that they've actually left the door open. So it's like any spiritual tool, you have to be responsible for that tool, and you have to know how to open the tool and to close it safely. Hello Betty Jo, no problem. Betty Jo, I don't know, did you get the link for the Facebook group? I don't know if you, I can't remember whether you said you were on Facebook. Because everything that we've discussed earlier on will be shared on the Facebook group and the Mystic Witch YouTube channel anyway, so you can catch up at any time. Oh, perfect. So everything that we've discussed earlier on, you won't miss anything, because it's going to be saved onto the group page and the Mystic Witch YouTube channel as well. I've got two YouTube channels, the Mystic Witch and the Lady Moonlight one. The Lady Moonlight one, I just save like the gift readings and the free reading nights. They all get saved onto the Lady Moonlight one. But my subscriber only events like this one and the classes on a Sunday, they will get shared to the Mystic Witch one. And I've actually got a playlist that has got all of the videos, which will include this one, on that playlist on YouTube. But it's also going to be saved from YouTube. The YouTube link and the video will be shared to our group as well. So that's perfect. But yeah, we've just been discussing crystal dowsing, and we've been using the dowser. So you can use the dowser on palm of the hand, and we went through how to make sure your dowser is cleansed before using it, etc., etc. So I'm just going to go over briefly the rules for using the dowsers, whether you're using your palm for a dowser, or whether you're using a spirit board, such as my little protective pentagram. And we went into the pentagram and what it means. A lot of people think the pentagram is Satan or the devil. It's not. It's far from Satan and devil. It's actually the 5 points of the pentagram stand for spirit, earth, air, fire and water, the elements of life and our spirit. And the circle around it that protects the pentagram represents the circle of life, birth, life, death and rebirth. Everything is connected. So so the first port of call when using any pendulum or dowser, whichever you want to call it, is cleansing the room that you're going to be dowsing in. So you would, I love sage. I love my abalone shell with sage, white sage. Californian white sage is a sacred herbal one, which I absolutely love. Some of my past life links are connected to, I'm connected to the Native Americans in past life. So Native Americans, I've always been kind of the pagan path in all of my pagan or shamanic paths throughout my past lives. So I'm very connected to a lot of them. I have a lot of respect for Native American people because my ancestry comes from there. But even though I'm a traditional crone witch, so I always prefer, if I'm cleansing, using Californian white sage. That's my everyday go-to. So you would cleanse the whole room. You would also cleanse your tools. So I would cleanse my pendulum. Doesn't matter what pendulum it is. It could be, I use black obsidian because it's protective, but you can use amethyst, you can use rose quartz, whatever. You can even use your wedding ring. Put wedding ring on a chain and just use a wedding ring. If I'm using a dowsing board, I would also cleanse a dowsing board as well. I would always wear protective crystals. Again, I love my piku, my little feng shui black obsidian with the paiku or piku dragon on it. But also my pendulum that I prefer to use is my black obsidian as well. So I'm wearing black obsidian and I'm using black obsidian for protection. As long as you're just, if you don't have black obsidian, you can use black onyx or tourmaline, black tourmaline. All are very protective crystals. Thank you for the likes, Rochelle. So you've cleansed everything, etc. You then need to, if you're using the board, you need to open the board. So if I was using the board, I've got a little stand here. I would put the board on the stand, and I would take my dowser, and I would place the dowser in the center of the board, and I would make my affirmation or my command, and I would say, I open this board with love and light. Only good spirits are welcome here, and bad spirits are not welcome and must not enter. You're given a clear command that during this session you are only inviting good spirits. If you don't give that command and you open the board, you're going to get both. It's like leaving your front door open and saying, right, anyone can come in, good or bad, right? You wouldn't do that. Neither would you leave your front door open on a spirit board. So you would always ask that only good spirit come in and use your board. If you're using the palm of your hand, same thing. During this session, I ask that only good spirit enter and give me the answers that I need. That is opening your board. Always be respectful. If spirit answer a question, say thank you. If you're asking a question, say please at the back of it. Please show me, or please tell me the answer to this, or please tell me the answer to that, whatever the case may be. The next thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your pendulum's working, right? You need to make sure that spirit know what you're asking of the pendulum, right? So, for example, I know that this has already been attuned because we did this earlier. So I'm going to show you how to attune a pendulum. So you would take your pendulum. I always hold the pendulum between my thumb and my second finger. So, and I always have my elbow on the table so that I am not moving my hand whatsoever. I'm going to move the pendulum up a little bit just so that you can see, because you obviously can't see down at the bottom. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of length. So then I'm going to then ask Spirit to show me the direction for yes. So I would start off by saying, please show me the direction for yes. And I'm going to put my palm underneath it because I'm going to use my palm for this, just to show you. Please show me the direction for yes. Again, I'm keeping my thumb and fingers very still. And you're going to be patient. Please show me the direction for yes. Again, I'm being polite and respectful. Spirit, please show me the direction for yes. Please show me the direction for yes. Again, be patient. You need to give Spirit time to be able to move that pendulum and decide which direction it wants to use. So we've got a little bit of movement, but we may not be sure what direction that is. So you want to confirm it. Spirit, please confirm the direction for yes. Please give me confirmation for the direction of yes. Show me and confirm the direction of yes, please. Please give me clarity and confirm this direction of yes. Please confirm. Give me clarity. So again, this time is kind of going diagonal. So it's going across my palm diagonally. So diagonal is yes. So then I would stop the pendulum and then I would say, Spirit, please show me the direction for no. What is the direction for no? Please give me the direction for no. Please confirm the direction for no. What is the direction for no, please? Show me the direction for no. So in this case, the pendulum is going back and forward. So I know at this point that yes is diagonal, no is back and forward. And I'm going to say thank you to Spirit. Yeah. The only exception to using a board alone is if you know how to open and close the board as well as protect yourself. If you don't know how to protect yourself and use the board safely by opening and closing the board safely, then definitely never ever use the board alone. Always have somebody with you. Because if something goes wrong because you don't know how to open and close that board, you need a second person to help you out. And that second person needs to be somebody like myself, an elder crone who knows exactly what they're doing with the board. I've been using spirit boards for many years. I know how to open them. I know how to close them. I am very confident in using the board myself, and I have done so in many occasions because I am aware of who is in the room, what spirits are around, etc. I also know how to protect myself, the board and the house. But if you don't know the knowledge behind the board, then never ever use the board on your own. It's just a no-no. And make sure that whoever is with you operating the board knows exactly how to close and open a board, how to protect. And the person that is knowledgeable about the board must be the one that commands the board. You should never ever have more than one person command the board. Only one person. If you have 4 people sitting around a board and all 4 people are asking Spirit questions, Spirit do not see a leader. They do not see an owner. They just see 4 people free for all. And so therefore you are welcoming in basically good and bad spirits. There is no control over that board. Nobody has the control. Ideally, the person that owns the board controls the board. The only exception to that is if the person that owns the board has not got a Scooby-Doo how to use the board, then they should leave the board well alone until they know how to use it or they've been taught how to use it. Yep, you can use palm, you can use board, whatever. Whether it's a dowsing board or a spirit board. I have been using spirit boards for years with some amazing messages. But you know what angers me? Is when I go onto YouTube and you type in spirit board or Ouija board and you've got all these young ones. And they're shouting, come on, Damien, come on through the board. We dare you, come on. We demand you, we command you, right, to come through. We command the devil, we command this. That is so disrespectful. And you are inviting trouble, right? Because you are basically challenging spirit. It's like you're trying to bully spirit. And it just makes my blood boil when I see that, because I'm thinking these youngsters do not know what they are dealing with. And then they wonder why, in the middle of it all, things start flying around the room. In short, you are pretty much bitten off spirit, right? You are really getting their hankers up. Right? And you're being disrespectful to them. So they're going to basically wreck your house. And then they'll say, see, I told you, it's bad to use spirit. No, it's not. You've just been bullyish and controlling and demanding to spirit and being downright disrespectful. And you expect spirit to be nice. Doesn't work that way. You have to respect. And you have to take control of the board. And this is, you know, it's like, as I was saying earlier on in the live earlier, you wouldn't jump into a car without theory tests and driving lessons and passing your driving test and go on the motorway, not knowing how to operate that machine. Right? One, you're going to kill yourself or you're going to kill somebody else. Right? It's just a no-no. So why would you use a vehicle like a spirit board or a dowsing board without knowing how to operate it safely? You just wouldn't. Yeah, definitely. So this is what I love about offering my subscribers the Sunday spiritual development class, because we will be doing spirit board. We'll be talking about covering spirit boards, as well as, like tonight we're talking about dowsing boards and using dowsers on your palm. It doesn't really matter which you use, but whatever board, even on your palm, you need to protect yourself, right? your palm is also a portal, right? So if you're using your palm and you're being disrespectful to spirit, and you're not saying only good or bad, you know, I open my session. If it's your palm, you would say, I'm opening the spiritual session in love and light, and I'm asking that only good spirit may enter here. There's no board, it's just myself and my palm and my pendulum. I still need to make that clarity. I still need to say, I only welcome good spirit into our home and into this space. And I do not welcome dark spirits. Only light may enter. I'm setting boundaries. And spirit law has to adhere to those commands from you. You're being respectful, but you're laying down your boundaries. And then at the end, you need, if you're using a board, that's what I was saying just before you came in, Betty Jo. If you're using the board and a pendulum, or a board and a pancetta, if it's a spirit board, never say, you know, if you're closing the board, you would say, thank you for the answers that you've given me. Thank you for the respect you've gave me. I now close my board in light, love and light. And then if in this case, I would wear my pendulum. My board would go into its black pouch, and it would stay in the black pouch away from the pendulum. Same with the spirit board. The pancetta would be put away in the other room. I have a drawer in the other room where my pancettas go for my spirit boards, and my spirit boards are kept in this room on the shelf. Never ever leave your pendulum lying on a board or the pancetta lying on the board. Remember, spirit can move things, right? So if you're leaving your pendulum there and you go away and you go to sleep at night, oh, we're shutting down. Some settings here. I don't know if this is working. Settings, hello. Hello, hello. I'm back. Oh. Cancel that. Okay, I'm back briefly because my battery, it still works. We did cover everything in the video. So if I do, oh no, we're not going to get this.